G'day and welcome to another World of Warcraft video. In this video, it's been a while, but we're going to take a look at the Algeth'ar Academy on Mythic difficulty. So Algeth'ar Academy is basically a pretty interesting dungeon. There's no respawn points at all in this dungeon. You basically do it in like a full circle. So you can start to the left or to the right, doesn't really matter. An important thing, you're going to want to pick up the buff in the beginning from one of the dragon flights, preferably which one gives you the best stats for your class. In my case, it's the haste buff, but familiarize yourself with which one gives you the buff that you require. Once you have done this, I tend to head to the right. Some people head to the left, but I head to the right and go up these stairs and take on the kind of botany garden first. Now there's a couple things here that you do need to be aware of. So the skitterflies, basically they generate a little bit of damage over time, but if you stun them it should be fine. They will also randomly dart at some of the other players that aren't the tank, so they will randomly fixate and cause damage to those players. Please obviously be aware of that. Check for the vile lashes. They will do an AoE attack. Basically these little green spots will spawn on the floor, and you want to make sure that of course you avoid those green spots. Super duper basic. And then finally the small lashes have a little poison that will do dart over time. Healers can obviously cleanse and purge those capabilities. In terms of the boss, so obviously the boss is of course the overgrown ancient, and yeah, he's pretty straightforward. He is relatively simple, so there's not too much to be concerned about. Basically when you take him on, there's two changes in phase. When he gets low enough, he will spawn the ad. He'll spawn an ad that heals him. What you're going to want to do during this period is interrupt that ad. When he does this attack, Germinate, you're going to want to rotate clockwise as a group so that all the mobs or ads spawn in one location. And then you'll do that attack a second time, and you're going to want to CC and kill all of the little vile lashes, because if you don't kill all of them, you will fail. In this situation, we managed to clear him very quickly because it was a relatively lower level Mythic plus. But please make sure that obviously you, how can I say, kill these small vile lashes. You want to stack them up together and obviously interrupt them. This ad here will do this attack, which will push you. Easiest way to counteract this is to stand in front of the pillars, but that's really about it there. You will then come down to this platform and you will be greeted by a whole swarthy array of birds. Realistically speaking, this is not a huge issue, but you want to try and kick and interrupt Call of the Flock, as this relatively makes it a little bit more difficult. Also, you want to hard CC them wherever possible, and as players you want to be aware of the Gale Burst, because that can give you some issues. When you come to the boss, it's a fairly simple boss. Basically he will do Deafening Screech. This will interrupt you and any spells that you are casting. He will do a conal attack that you must avoid because it will push you off the edge, and he will do Savage Peck, which is a tank buster. He will then do Play Ball, which is this mechanic here where you have to choose the balls through which to fire them into. Basically what you want to do is you want to do the fire one first because you will take additional damage, but you want to split the goals for the first period. So you want to split the goals for the first period so that neither of the goal sides activates, and then you want to basically only do the fire one because it gives you a 75% damage boost for the first, I think it's 10 seconds, 10 or 12 seconds. So this is obviously the procedure to go, and then avoid all of the kind of little fallings on the floor. Then you're going to come to Veximus. You can skip this first pack quite easily actually, so I do suggest doing so as you do not need them for percentage. And then you're going to pick up these packs afterwards. Now, there's a couple of things you want to know here. So the spellbound scepters, or the weapons that attack you, you want to stop their AoE, so you need to make sure that you kick them. The weapons are the biggest focal point in terms of their kind of like their, how can I say, interrupting of them. The mana worms honestly aren't really a huge issue. The mana fiends as well are not really a massive issue, and then honestly the ravages are not a massive issue, if I'm entirely honest. None of them give you a huge issue. The ravages, you just need to watch them. They will jump to the side and will perform a cone AoE, and this basically will do huge damage. You have to either sidestep it. If you can't, then basically what you're going to need to do is essentially make sure that you run through it, because that's going to obviously help you as well. And that is basically it. There's really nothing else too noticeable about them. Definitely in terms of like kick priority, you're going to want to focus on these units. But yeah, that's basically it. Now in terms of these packs before the boss, very simple priority as well. The weapons, again, you're going to want to kick first due to the fact that they have huge AoE damage, and then you want to secondary kick the books. The books will cast a spell called Monotonous Lecture. You want to interrupt that, because if it goes off, they will be slept, or they will sleep your team, which is pretty, not great, and could cause you some issues as well. But yeah, that's basically it for these packs. So it's a fairly simple process. So yeah, obviously then we come to the boss, Veximus. Very simple, basically from Veximus. So Veximus essentially only really has like a couple maneuvers that you need to really be concerned about. So he will spawn these arcane orbs. You want to intercept all of these orbs. There's 5 of them, and there's 5 party members. Generally speaking, it's 1 each. Players can take up to 2 each, but generally speaking, you don't want to take more than 2 of them. If you do have someone that can have magic immunity, that's great. And then that's basically it. Really, there's not too much. DPS will be targeted with mana bombs and healers. Try and stand away from the group, and obviously the tank will have to target the AoE cone ability from Arcane Expulsion. But that's really it. There's nothing else that's like super major in terms of that fight. It's a fairly simple process. Then obviously after that, you run across this bridge. You're going to tank all of the ads on this bridge, and then you're going to go up past the Botany Gardens and kind of to this next area. So there's a couple units you want to be concerned about here. So the Echo Knights, they have Astral Whirlwind. They're going to spin in a circle on spot, basically stun them. You can hard stun them or just move away from them. It's really not that big an issue, or a huge one really. Spectral Invoker don't really do too much. They'll cast a spell called Arcane Bomb. This isn't a huge issue on its own. However, you want to try and interrupt Arcane Missiles. You really want to interrupt Arcane Missiles, because basically it's quite a big, I want to say, damage causer. And then you will see Algeth'ar Security, and that's really about it. Algeth'ar Security doing AoE, and yeah, that's essentially it. But yeah, to be honest with you, the echo of Doragosa is very much kind of straightforward. If you have the energy bomb and you want to dispel it when you're away from people, that's basically it. And she's going to do power vacuum, which will suck everyone in. And that's honestly really about it. So yeah, like it's honestly not that big a deal. There are some things like overwhelming power mechanics, basically, which will give you a buff, but essentially there's really not that much of an issue. Essentially, you just want to avoid the uncontrollable energy stacks that are dropped whenever you receive 3 stacks of overwhelming power. And yeah, that's really about it. There's not too much to this fight. It's probably the most straightforward boss fight in the game, and you shouldn't have an issue. But yeah, that's going to be it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the new format. And let me know. Until then, see you guys next time. Bye.